Welcome to G Fun Facts Online. Today, we're talking about the silent guardian of your medicine cabinet. When you take a pill, you trust that it's safe. That trust isn't just based on a one-time approval process. It's built on a massive, ongoing global surveillance system that watches over every drug every day. This is the world of pharmacovigilance, the science of drug safety. It's a story that begins not with foresight, but with tragedy, and it's a system that's more crucial now than ever before. While the journey of creating a new drug is heroic, its real test starts the moment it enters the real world, used by millions of diverse people. Pre-market trials are just a snapshot. Pharmacovigilance is the full-length feature film, and its mission is to ensure that for any medicine, the benefits always outweigh the risks. Derived from the Greek pharmakon for drug, and the Latin vigilare for to keep watch, pharmacovigilance is the world's drug watchdog. It's a dynamic network of regulators, companies, doctors, and even patients, all working to protect global health. This system is the reason drug labels get updated with new warnings, and in rare cases, why a product is pulled from the shelves. It's the invisible shield between you and the potential harm of the medicines designed to heal you. The modern system of drug safety wasn't invented in a lab. It was forged in fire. While ancient healers documented the effects of their remedies, the structured vigilance we rely on today was a direct response to public health disasters. One of the earliest alarms sounded in 1848. A 15-year-old girl named Hannah Greener died after receiving chloroform for a minor surgery. The incident was so shocking that the famous medical journal, The Lancet, put out a call for doctors to report similar cases. It was a primitive form of the reporting systems we have today, a first glimmer of a connected network. But the 20th century would bring tragedies on a scale that demanded a global response. In 1937, in the United States, a company created a liquid version of a new antibiotic called sulfanilamide. To dissolve the drug, they used a chemical called diethylene glycol. Today, we use it in antifreeze. The result was a toxic concoction called elixir sulfanilamide that led to the agonizing deaths of over 100 people, many of them children. This catastrophe directly triggered the U.S. Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act of 1938. For the first time, a law mandated that companies had to prove a drug was safe before selling it. It was a landmark step, but the world's biggest wake-up call was yet to come. In the late 1950s, a new drug called thalidomide was marketed across nearly 50 countries. It was hailed as a perfectly safe sedative, especially effective for treating morning sickness in pregnant women. But the drug had never been properly tested for its effects on a developing fetus. The result was a global epidemic of birth defects. Between 10 and 12,000 infants were born with severe malformations, most famously phocomelia, a condition causing shortened or absent limbs. The thalidomide disaster was a moment of global horror. It exposed the catastrophic failure of existing drug regulations and the desperate need for post-marketing surveillance. The public outcry was immense, and governments were forced to act. In the U.S., it spurred the passage of the 1962 Kefauver-Harris Amendments, which required that drugs be proven both safe and effective. In the UK, the Yellow Card Scheme was created in 1964, a formal system for doctors to report suspected side effects. And internationally, the World Health Organization responded by creating its Program for International Drug Monitoring in 1968. This was the birth of the global, coordinated pharmacovigilance network that protects us today. These tragedies were the catalysts that built a scientific, regulated system to ensure the lessons of the past would protect the patients of the future. The strength of this global safety net comes from its many interconnected players, each with a critical role. At the center are the national regulatory authorities, like the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, and the European Medicines Agency, the EMA. These are the government bodies that oversee a drug's entire life cycle. The FDA's main tool is the FAERS database, which stands for FDA Adverse Event Reporting System. It's a massive vault containing millions of reports of adverse events, and medication errors. Through its MedWatch program, both doctors and consumers can voluntarily report problems. Using this data, the FDA can spot safety signals and take action, from ordering a label change to pulling a drug from the market. In Europe, the EMA coordinates the system for the entire EU. Its dedicated safety committee, the PRAC, assesses the safety of all human medicines. Their database, Vigilance, collects and analyzes reports from across the continent. The EU even has a highly detailed legal framework called Good Pharmacovigilance Practices, or GVP, which dictates exactly how companies must monitor their products. But drug safety is a global issue, so national systems need to be connected. This is where the World Health Organization comes in. The WHO's Program for International Drug Monitoring connects over 170 member countries in a collaborative network. The operational heart of this program is a special center in Uppsala, Sweden, known as the Uppsala Monitoring Center, or UMC. The UMC manages Vigibase, the WHO's global database of individual case safety reports. Vigibase is the largest database of its kind on the planet, holding over 35 million reports of suspected adverse drug reactions. At the UMC, scientists analyze this colossal dataset to find potential new drug safety signals that would be invisible to any single country. While regulators and international bodies set the rules, the primary responsibility for a drug's safety lies with the pharmaceutical company that makes it. This isn't just an ethical duty, it's a legal mandate. Companies must have a robust system to collect and evaluate every report of an adverse event linked to their products. They are legally required to report these events to regulators within strict deadlines, and they must continuously analyze the safety data, submitting regular reports called periodic safety update reports. If a risk is found, they must create a risk management plan to mitigate it. Of course, the system can't function without the people on the ground. Doctors, nurses, and pharmacists are the frontline observers. They see how medicines affect real patients and are in the perfect position to identify suspected adverse reactions. Their clinical judgment is crucial. However, the system has a huge, persistent blind spot: under-reporting. Studies have shown that the vast majority of adverse drug reactions, sometimes over 90%, are never reported. Doctors might be too busy, unsure if the drug was the cause, or feel that one single report won't make a difference. This missing data is one of the biggest challenges in all of pharmacovigilance. Finally, there's a new and powerful player in this network: the patient. Historically, drug safety was left to the professionals. But today, patients are recognized as essential partners. Many countries now allow patients to report suspected side effects directly to regulators. These reports are incredibly valuable, often containing rich details about how an adverse event impacts daily life, details a clinical report might miss. A single report from a patient in a small town can travel through this entire network, to the company, to the national regulator, and all the way to the global Vigibase in Sweden, where it joins millions of others to help form a clearer picture of a medicine's safety. So, how does a single report of a side effect transform into an action that can protect millions? It's a systematic journey from raw data to life-saving intelligence. It all starts with what's called an Individual Case Safety Report, or ICSR. This is the basic unit of data. Most of these are spontaneous reports from doctors or patients who suspect a link between a drug and a reaction. They can also come from clinical studies, the medical literature, or even social media. For a report to be officially valid, it needs just 4 things: an identifiable patient, an identifiable reporter, a suspected drug, and an adverse event. Once received, the case is logged into a safety database and coded with standardized medical terms to ensure consistency worldwide. The next stage is signal detection. With millions of reports flooding in, how do you find the important ones? A safety signal isn't proof of a problem, it's a hypothesis. It's a piece of information suggesting a potential new link between a drug and a side effect that needs more investigation. In the past, this was done by experts manually reviewing cases. Today, we use powerful data mining algorithms to find the needle in the haystack. These algorithms look for disproportionality. They analyze the database to see if a specific drug and a specific side effect are reported together more often than you'd expect by chance. Statistical tools with names like proportional reporting ratio or reporting odds ratio flag these unusual pairings for human experts to review. Once a signal is detected, it must be assessed. Experts investigate all the available cases, search for published studies, and consider if there's a plausible biological reason for the reaction. They prioritize signals based on the seriousness of the side effect and the strength of the evidence. If the assessment confirms a new risk, the focus shifts to managing it. For many drugs, companies must create a risk management plan. This document outlines a drug's known and potential risks and details the plan to monitor and minimize them. Risk minimization can be as simple as updating the warning label, or it can involve more extensive measures, like providing special educational materials to doctors and patients, or even restricting who can prescribe the drug. Finally, regulatory authorities take action. Based on the evidence, they can update the drug's official label, issue public health warnings, restrict its use, or, in the most serious cases where the risks clearly outweigh the benefits, they can suspend or completely withdraw the drug from the market. This whole process is a continuous loop. The drug safety profile is monitored and reevaluated for its entire life, ensuring the global watchdog never sleeps. Pharmacovigilance is constantly evolving, driven by new technologies and the increasing complexity of modern medicine. But it still faces major hurdles. The biggest, as mentioned, is underreporting. A systematic review found the median underreporting rate for adverse reactions is a staggering 94%. This massive data gap severely slows down our ability to detect new safety issues. Another challenge comes from the medicines themselves. We're moving beyond simple chemical pills to incredibly complex treatments. Biologics, which are large molecules made from living organisms, can trigger unpredictable immune responses. And a new class of treatments called Advanced Therapy Medicinal Products, or ATMPs, which include gene therapies and cell therapies, introduce entirely new safety concerns. The risks from these therapies can be delayed, sometimes appearing years after a single administration. This means patients may need to be monitored for up to 15 years, requiring incredibly specialized and long-term vigilance. But the future of pharmacovigilance is undoubtedly digital. Big data and artificial intelligence are revolutionizing the field. Safety experts are now looking beyond traditional reports to analyze massive real-world data sets, from electronic health records, insurance claims, and even wearable devices. AI is the engine that can make sense of this data. Natural language processing can automatically read and extract information from unstructured reports, speeding up a slow, manual process. Machine learning algorithms can analyze vast data sets to find subtle safety signals that are impossible for humans to spot. The ultimate goal is to shift from being reactive to being proactive and even predictive. AI models are being developed to forecast the likelihood of adverse events before they happen, opening the door to preventative interventions. From its origins in public health tragedies to its current state as a proactive, data-driven global network, pharmacovigilance has become an essential pillar of modern healthcare. It is the quiet, often unseen, but utterly vital mission that weaves together the efforts of regulators, scientists, companies, doctors, and patients. The work is never done, but its goal remains clear: to ensure that for every medicine we take, the balance of benefit and risk is always being watched, always understood, and always managed. It's the system that safeguards our trust and protects the health of us all. Thanks for tuning in to G Fun Facts Online.